in the sauna together with Nanna Bergmann to talk about diverse team. Nanna, please introduce yourself, your role, and the Bank of London a bit.
Absolutely. So very nice to be here with you, Denise. I'm Nanna, and I work for the Bank of London as our Group MD for our brand and reputation. And as such, I oversee our reputation, communication, corporate affairs, and the marketing function. And I've been with the Bank of London actually for the last 2.5 years now. So ever since we got our license. And the Bank of London is essentially a principal clearing bank in the UK market. And we're a bit different to most of the other banks that are already there in that we don't compromise any of the deposits that clients hold with us. So nothing is lent out or leveraged in any way. Instead, we hold everything securely with the Bank of England, the central bank in the UK, essentially to offer a safer banking proposition to our customers.
Diverse thinking. How does it benefit a workplace to be incorporated in the culture?
So I'm very big on diverse thinking, and I believe it benefits in two specific ways. So generating innovation and pace. So generating innovation in order to kind of disrupt an industry or do something different or just simply evolve what you're working on, you really need different mindsets, you really need different perspectives. And the only way to properly get that is from diverse thinking, and which I guess essentially then stems from people's backgrounds, people's experiences, what have they done before in life, how's their upbringing been, because that is what generates some diversity in the mix when you're having conversations. So I think that's massively important in order to kind of innovate and generate something new for your firm. On the pace side, it goes very much hand in hand with innovation, but like on the pace side, if you have people that come in with different perspectives, you're also able to solve problems much faster because you can actually kind of look at things from different perspectives, and that essentially generates pace.
I agree. How do you then, because we've all heard it, you should hire a diverse team.
Yes.
But how do you find it? How do you recognize what you're lacking today, or what angles you are not covering with existing thinking in the room? So how do you really go about? Do you have any secret sources or understanding that you can share with me?
I don't think there is a one trick secret sauce, unfortunately, you can apply. I think everybody today probably agrees the importance of it, right? There are lots of psychometric studies and kind of personality tests, etc. you can do, and you should do, of your team to kind of ensure that you are covering off all the bases when you're actually testing people. I guess to a conversation you and I had previously today around how our brain's wired, right? How are people thinking? How are they approaching problem solving, etc. Typically, these kind of psychometric personality tests can help you understand, do we have all the different profiles and do we have all the different wirings of a brain present in our team? So that would probably be my main kind of like secret sauce tip. But as a leader, it's very important that you are aware of the team members you have. You need to connect with them, you need to get to know them in order to understand, are you covering the bases? I don't think you can ever be 100% certain, but listening to your team and really getting to understand them is at least a way to get closer to it.
From diverse team to psychological safetyness, how do you create a psychological safety environment for your team? And are there any like tips and tricks that you think like at least the basis everyone should implement to create? Because I do think we hear a lot about psychological unsafetyness environment and how it creates inefficient teams, but we rarely hear about the tips and tricks to go around it and to create the environment you want your people to be thriving within.
Yeah, I love that you're asking that question. Psychological safety is hugely important. It's something that's very close to me personally. I worked with Google before I came into the fintech or the banking world, and Google's main management tool is actually creating psychological safety. They did a huge study a few years ago called Study Aristoteles, where they looked at hundreds of teams across countries and looked at what makes these teams successful and deliver or hit their targets or have successful output. And the one common denominator that generated the most impact was psychologically safe teams. So I love that you're asking that question, because how do you then kind of generate this mythical creature of psychological safety? Personally, I think it's all about making sure your team members feel empowered and feel safe to do and act the way that they feel is the most appropriate. So I am trying my best to always be aware of with my team. I try to empower them as much as I can. Whenever they do something, whenever they take initiative and really kind of like drive something forward, if I'm not 100% in agreement with what they've decided to do, which can sometimes be quite challenging, right? Because as a leader, it's easy to go in and wanting to take control, wanting to like get everything executed according to your own head and your own ideas. But whenever they've kind of really done something, right, kind of like take an initiative, if I don't agree with it, I evaluate before I say anything. Do I really not agree with it? Do I need to course correct here? If I need to course correct, obviously I will go in and have a conversation and we'll kind of figure out how to course correct it. But if it's just a tiny disagreement, I will actually not say anything, because I think it's more important that they feel empowered to go out and solve problems themselves, as opposed to me directing everything. So I'm very conscious of not interfering too much, unless it's kind of a major disagreement or whatever that may be. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. And like how I started to go about it, because this was a question for me like some years ago, and I was like, but what does it really mean? How do I understand this, and how do I implement it out there in the real world when I am with the teams? And I actually took an example from my personal life. So filling the dishwasher. Like almost every couple has this, like one wants to have it very structured and the other goes like, I just put things in there. And the thing is that no matter how you fill the dishwasher, it like the things will get clean. And I am the very structured one, and my husband is the messy one. So do I every time need to go and correct how he put things there? Or should I just be happy that it's filled up and we will have clean dishes at home? And I took that then into the work space and with the teams. Will the outcome be clean dishes? Or will the outcome be, no, actually everything won't be clean because you just put everything on top of each other? Then you need to correct it. But if you see that it's messy, it's not exactly how I want it, but the outcome will be the same.
I love that analogy, because that is spot on, exactly how I like to approach it, right? And I truly believe that by not going in and like interfering all the time, in the end, you might find that the dishes are actually cleaner than if you had gone in and interfered, right? Because your team might figure out an even better way or a faster way to load it, or and you end up with a much better outcome. Because like, who are we as leaders believing that we know best, right?
No.
Like, we should absolutely find people and hire the ones that know much better than we do, right? I love that analogy, Denise.
Lastly, we hear a lot about diversity. But as leaders within the industry, how do we really go about having the industry to truly give a damn about it and to take actions, like not only good on paper, anything for the industry?
Yeah, it's a truly tough one in our industry, right? Working in the fintech and banking space. We don't necessarily see a lot of diversion. How do we really get companies to give a damn? It's interesting, right? Because there's been so many studies out there that shows that
the data is there.
The data is there, right? So in theory, the rational brain would think all companies would absolutely adapt, right, and go in that direction. I think the harsh reality is that we're all massively influenced by unconscious bias, and whether we want it or not, that is how it is, right? And we need to really realize that you and I as well, right? We're massively influenced by our unconscious bias, and without realizing that, you can't kind of work against it. So I think like we need more role models, right? We need more people that show us the way, and show that it can be a more diverse culture, a more diverse industry, in order to kind of combat a little bit that unconscious bias that we're all holding. In the Bank of London, we are exceptionally fortunate to have a CEO and founder, Anthony Watson, who's the only open gay bank CEO in the UK. And he's a very proud gay, which is fantastic, because it really shines a light on the importance of that diversity throughout our company. So we're in a fortunate space that we do have really strong role models. Obviously, diversity takes many shapes and forms,
yes.
right?
Yes.
But I think we need more role models, and we need to all be aware of our unconscious bias so that we can work against it, in order to kind of close the gap, and getting companies to care, to truly give a damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so happy that you wanted to step into the sauna with me, because we want to showcase role models. There are out there. So
Yeah.
I'm super honored that you accepted my invitation and joined me.
Thank you for having me, Denise. Thank you so much.